And now for our scope. As you can see, I've already I'm going to use a rifle that I've already made. There's no sense in remaking the rifle for just the scope. This is going to be a little more challenging, and it's not something you do all the time, but it's really fun to do once in a while. I've got a section of a 260 here, clear. I've blown up, reverse inflated, about 6 inches. So there's no knot on one end, and I've trimmed the knot very close on the other. I've got a 160. I've chosen black. This is going to be to mount it, and I've blown up a little more than half of it. We won't use all of that. And then I've got a 360, and I've chosen black for this as well. I've also reverse inflated about the same, just a little more than I did of the 260. So if you do 6 inches, because this is going to have to be stuffed inside of there, so you want this to be slightly longer than your 260 that you're going to put inside, and you don't want the 260 to be longer than maybe a third or a fourth the length of your 360, because it's got to have room to go inside there. And what we're going to do, and this is really fun, normally when I do this I'll hold it against my body, but you won't be able to see that well, so I'm going to do it on the table. What I want to do is I'm going to take the 360, I'm going to twist a small bubble on the end. This will give me something to grab when I go to remove it in a minute, and you'll see what I'm talking about when I get to that point. And I'm going to push that in like I'm making a tulip twist, and reach in from the outside and grab a hold of it. Now once you've got that little ball inside in there, we're going to take the 260 and push it against the end, and then just force it into the 360. This technique is called double stuffing, if you ever hear anybody talk about that. This is what they're referring to. Once you've got it completely inside, now I'm going to take and cut this end over here to release the air out of it. And then I'm going to take, there's 2 layers now on this. I'm going to take the outer layer, and I want to roll it back off. This is going to be really tricky grabbing it sometimes. There we go. There. Now I'm down to a single layer. And there is the ball that I made initially, that I pushed inside the 360. So I'm going to trim that. I'm going to trim it kind of close so you can see where the 260 ends. I'm going to trim that. And now there's my 260, and if I'll take and just roll that back a little bit. You don't roll too far, because then it'll try to roll completely off on you. But you want just the end of that protruding through there. Like that. And now we'll come back to the other side and do the same thing. And I'll just do the same thing to the back part. I just want to roll that up just a little bit onto there. Get it to roll a little bit. It's been a little uncooperative this morning. That's okay. Once you get that rolled up just enough where you can expose the end of your 260, but you've got to get it far enough up where it's going to want to stay. Roll that back. There. And now you've got a scope. There's your basic scope. And on the camera you can sort of see, let me turn it where you can see kind of through there a little bit. And then you can draw whatever markings you want. We're not going to worry about that right now. Now we need to attach it to our weapon, to our rifle. This is where our 160 comes into play. You're going to start the end of it by making a pair of small pinch twists here. Just like that. And then it doesn't matter which end, but we're going to take, and if you'll notice where that rolls up on there, it creates just a little small indentation. I'm going to roll it just a little further there. Creates a little small indentation. Take your first one and put it about there. We're going to be almost at the end of our scope. Wrap it around, and you want this to be a little snug, and twist it into those pinch twists so it's holding it in place like that. Now you want to come down and twist off a little bubble beyond that, maybe an inch or so, and then we're going to pop this off, but keep the rest of it inflated because we need to make another one of these on the other side that has 2 mounting brackets. So I've popped that off. I'm going to tie that so I can reuse that. Now remember, keep that bubble too. Tie that there. This is going to be one of our mounting brackets. Now I need to make another one. When you make the other, do the same thing. Start with your 2 pinch twists on the end of your 160. Excuse me. Now when we wrap this around, you're going to want to make sure that it goes around and ends up so that they're both coming out on the bottom there. You have to hang on to it. There we go. Because you're not going to be able to adjust this very easily. There's going to be a lot of friction there. So you want to kind of line it up so that they both are lined up pretty much together. And then again, make another little bubble for the bottom of your mounting bracket, and then pop the excess off. We don't need it anymore, so you can let it go. So we've got our two little brackets here to mount it. And then you're going to come over to your rifle, and you'll want to line them up with your pinch twist. As you can see, I made that. So it's about the right length. It'll sit right there. Then you take each of your two end pieces. You've got your little end there with the nozzle. Twist that into one of these pairs of pinch twists there, and then twist the other one into the next pair down the barrel. Secure it in place. And there, your rifle now has a scope that you can actually see through. Just like that.